Hey guys, welcome to another video. I can't wait to get your comments on this one. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. For sure you've heard the name. Unless you were sleeping under a rock. And the Trump admin is still defending the arrest of the migrant who was sent to El Salvador's hellhole mega prison by mistake and saying that he should be locked up. Okay, that's Kilmar Abrego Garcia. But let's not forget, okay, that the Trump regime actually sent 238 people to this hellhole of a prison. And so far, we know 90% of them are not the worst of the worst. They didn't have criminal records. They, well, I suppose we don't know what they are because none of them got due process. They got picked up and shipped out to El Salvador, to this hellhole where the Trump regime literally admitted in court, okay, that we sent this guy there by administrative error. That's what we did. And then the judges ruled on it, and it went to the appeal court, and it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said you have to facilitate the return of this man. Okay, so the Trump regime seized on that language. Okay, and they've been saying, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. In fact, the president of El Salvador, if you remember, was just at the Oval Office, okay? And they had a meeting, and this is Attorney General Pam Bondi.
That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs. If they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane. That's up to...
So she says it very clearly right there. We would facilitate it, provide a plane. Okay? So all this El Salvadorian president has to do is release Kilmar. Okay? But if you remember, he's getting paid. He's really comfortable with Trump and the Trump regime. So his answer to that was, well, I'm not gonna do that.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to have suggested that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right? How can I return him today?
To be clear, nobody's asking him to smuggle Kilmar in. Okay, we're just asking him to release him so that, as Pam Bondi said, we could send, the Americans can send a plane to go pick him up. But
United States, like I smuggle him into the United States.
No, nobody's asking you to smuggle him. But he's just being smug. And look at Trump's little smirk, like, checkmate, I got this guy.
So what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the...
Again, no one's asking you to smuggle him in. No one's asking.
Power to return him to the United States.
So you can release him inside El Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing... we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. We just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
They'd love to have a criminal, released into our country.
There's...
Look how cozy they are. Look, they would love to have criminals in the street. Nobody's saying that. This is Holman, the borders.
I think any court can order another nation, a sovereign nation, to take a citizen national from their country in their custody and give them back to the U.S. Again, I'm not an attorney. I'll let DOJ argue this in court. But I think we remove the public safety threat, gang member.
So he's just going to put it to the DOJ, which is Pam Bondi, which you just heard, right? Say that, oh, we'll send a plane, but they don't want to.
Designated terrorists from the United States who have been ordered deported twice by a federal judge. I think I got plenty of due process. He got more due process than Lake and Riley got.
And that's been Tom Homan's whole argument. He got more due process than Lincoln Riley did. Well, no one is saying that. First of all, Lincoln Riley was murdered. Okay, there's no due process in murder. Okay, but the person who murdered her got due process and then was found guilty, right? And is now facing jail time. That's how it goes. Okay, and like this is so important, guys, because they want to push him. They wanna say, oh, he's just the worst of the worst. He's MS-13 or TDA or whatever he is. Okay, but we're not gonna prove it. But we're just gonna tell you. They're just asserting to us that's what he is. But if that's what he is, why not just prove it in court? What's the problem? Why not prove it in court? And it makes for a really dangerous situation where if you think that it's because he's an illegal or it's because he's a gang member, when they come get you for whatever reason it is, whatever reason, okay, how are you going to prove? How do you plan on proving that you're an American citizen or, in my case, a Canadian? Like, how am I going to get to prove that if he didn't even get due process? It's dumb. So there's been Democrats that have gone. This is Senator Van Hollen. He's been trying to meet with Salvadorian officials, tell them that he was illegally abducted. He ended up going to meet with the embassy, right, to see if Trump or anyone in the regime had tried to facilitate his release, but there'd been no request made. So he held press conferences like this, okay, to put pressure on the government down there. And then he wanted to go to CCOT to try and see him. No different than Kristi Noem or all these other people that went to CCOT to pose. But when he tried to go, the military stopped him en route, okay, and said that he wasn't able to go to CCOT. Well, finally, and this is Tom Homan and Abrego Garcia's lawyer, okay? And they're at this point, trying to get proof of life, okay? So finally, they do produce him, okay? It turns out he's no longer at CCOT. He's at a different prison, and they bring him to the hotel. They dress him up, okay? And we get proof of life. We get proof of life, which for a while there was a chance this guy wasn't alive. Okay, there was a chance. There's like these, all kinds of investigative internet people that have been looking online, and there's like this one area where it's like really bloody at the prison, and they do say that whenever people go in, they never come out. So like, what does that even mean? Okay, remember, Bukele calls himself the coolest dictator. Okay. So, and then since then, 4 more Democrats went, okay? 4 more Democrats and his lawyer. So here are the 4 Democrats, 1, 2, 3, 4, and his lawyer went, okay? And they were not able to meet with him. They were not able to arrange a meeting with him, okay? I mean, guys, if, this case has captured the attention of pretty much the whole world, okay? If you're inside the States, maybe you don't know how much the rest of the world is paying attention to this. If you're outside of the States, you're probably like me, horrified that this is happening in the States. And like, because this has captured media attention, because this has captured everybody's attention, right? 4 Democrats and a lawyer went to El Salvador to try and get him. Now, if you get wrongly accused, what are the chances that 4 Democrats and a lawyer are going to become hunting for you? What are the chances? I'll tell you, it's slim, because we know that there's over 238 of them that have been sent. Over 238. Now, these Democrats, got together the cojones to go defend for one. So that's a 1 in 237 chance that somebody's going to go fight for you. It's your chances are not good. If Trump says you're a terrorist, well, all he has to say is you're a terrorist, because you're not going to have to face a judge. Can you see how we are all Kilmar Abrego Garcia? If it can happen to him, it can happen to any single one of us. This is dark, guys. This is really dark, okay? And the Democrats are taking heat for even going to see him. But back to this article where the Trump regime is making their case, okay? And oh, sorry, I thought I highlighted some of it. But Trump administration defending the arrest of a migrant who was shipped to El Salvador hellhole mega prison by mistake, alleging that he's an MS-13 gang member with a history of human trafficking. The case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, 29, from El Salvador, has become a rallying cry for Trump's critics of his tough immigration policy. A judge granted him protection in 2019 after he filed a petition for asylum, despite him sneaking into the country into 2011. So a judge had an order that this man cannot be deported to El Salvador. What do? They send him to El Salvador. Okay. The Trump administration deported dozens of migrants they say are members of MS-13 and Tren de Aragua using the Alien Enemies Act. The Trump administration argues that regardless of the error, the court does not have jurisdiction to return to the U.S. because Abrego Garcia is in Salvadorian custody. So they're trying to say it's out of the courts. We already got him out. And we know that this judge actually told them not to deport him, and they still put the planes up, wheels up, and sent him out. So this can happen to any of us. This can happen to anyone in the United States, I should say, okay? And especially if you let this stand. Today it's him. There's that saying, first they came for the Jews, and I didn't say anything. And then I don't know the rest of it, but then they came for me, and there was no one left to say anything. Okay? That's what's at stake here. Okay? Everybody, what makes the US or any Western country different than Russia or any other dictatorship is that we have due process. You have a chance to prove your case in court. That's all people are asking for Kilmar Abrego Garcia. So, guys, I'd love to hear what you think. Okay, is he illegal? Does he deserve everything that he's getting? Or should he be brought back? Does this bug you at all? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys on the next video.